Talk about pivot and how the pivot is the lifeblood of the downswing and how that influences the way our body rotates. So the pivot controls the downswing motion, and from here the pivot also controls the way the hands move out the way, and from here if the hands don't move out the way properly then that creates a steeper angle attack. Okay, so first thing I'm going to talk about obviously is when we get to talk about backswing. What happens is two common traits that I see within the downswing among high handicappers, okay? So they get to top of backswing, their shoulders rotate 90 degrees. But what tends to happen is, as Tiger Woods was not far away from this the other night on the golf channel, so his hips rotate too quickly. What happens is the upper body kind of remains in a closed position, okay? So what happens here, the hands move in the way, and from here, because the hands move in the way, it's quite hard for us to lay the club down so we can shallow it, and what happens is the shaft gets quite steep on the way down and the weight remains on the back foot. So that's the two commonalities I see within that, and what happens is they can't actually get the club to move outwards, so they can obviously rotate the hands to get through impact, okay? So the lower body moves too quickly, upper body remains in a closed position, right? So what happens from here, the hands have no alternative but to move out the way, so the path's going out to the right, the hand path's obviously moving in the way because the hands are quite close to their body. And what happens is, within a good player, what happens is they'll obviously try and move their weight back the way, which gets the body in a close position and that gets the hands close to the body. But obviously a lot higher handicappers, what happens is they get to the top of the backswing, they don't create much rotation and they'll pull the handle down the way, so the butt end of the club will just work straight in the ground, and from here the hands will move in the way, but because our body remains in a closed position, the hands may remain in a closed position, right? So because they're pulling the shaft down the way, what happens is you get quite a steep path, and you've got no alternative but to move the club in the way, and then you get that swinging over the top, okay? So hands move in the way, the path's going too far to the left, and that's known as over the top, okay? So what we want to see, we're talking about pivot, obviously a lot of good golfers are able to rotate their hips. What happens is they slide too quickly, upper body remains back, made in a closed position, the shaft gets quite steep. But what they do is they are able to lay the club down, so if they lay the club down where the club head gets lower in the hand path, then they're able to shallow it. And what happens is a lot of high handicappers pull the shaft down, and that's where the hand path gets lower than the club head, okay? So obviously what we want to see is, if we get in a good position, we want to see our hips opening up, okay? So if our hips open up, what that does is it throws the hands outward, okay? So if we open up, it's obviously if we're in a closed position, the hands remain in. If we open the hips, the hands remain outward, okay? So what we want to see, we want the hips to open up, the hands to go out the way, and we are able to rotate through impact, okay? So what we want to see is, if I open my hips up, what you'll notice is this frees up the right elbow, okay? So the right elbow is more in front of my body. And from here, this allows the butt end of the club to move up and around, okay? So if I was to remain in a closed position, it would be virtually impossible to move the butt end of the club without me flipping my hands, okay? So if I get stuck, what happens is the hips don't move. We have to remain reliant on our hands to obviously make the club face, okay? So we need to understand that the way our body pivots, that influences the way the handle of the golf club moves, okay? So if we open our body up correctly, that gets the club more in front of us. If it gets the club more in front of us, we can obviously release it properly. And then what happens here is the butt end is able to move from its low point, past my right leg, of the butt end of the club, and then it can work around and up in relation to my left hip, okay? So another thing I see is when golfers rotate too quickly on the way back, what happens is their upper body is always ahead of the lower body, because they're trying to always hit the ball a little bit further. So what happens is they rotate too quickly, and then they pull down on the handle, that gets steep too early, so they don't allow gravity to bring the club down. Obviously our left hip's rotating first, okay? So three key technical points I want you to focus on when you're coming through impact, okay? So if we pivot correctly, from here, right elbow should be in relation to the left. The right hip, right elbow in relation to the right hip, or slightly in front, should be 2 inches in front of my right hip. Hip should open up. If the hips open up, the hands move out the way, okay? We want the hands to move out the way so we can release the club properly and get the club in a better position on the way through, okay? The hands are close to the body, that's where we having to rely on obviously a manipulation to try and get the club back on the correct path. So from here, hips open up, right elbow. I want our body to rotate towards target. Okay, I want the body to almost be 45 degrees rotated towards target as we get to impact. Then through should be 90. We should be rotated all the way through. And from here, I want our chest obviously on target. I want pressure on this lead foot, and our knees should be able to open up. Okay, so my left knee should be ahead of my right knee, not the opposite. If I was in a closed position, right knee would remain back, the left knee would be ahead. Okay, so if we can get into that position where we pivot correctly, left knee moves first, then from here the arms pull down from our rotation of that left hip. Okay, so hip a couple of shots. So rotate, come back down, and then get the club. So if we open this left hip up, that throws the hands out the way. Okay, that allows the butt end of the club to move up and around as opposed to be closed, where the butt end kind of remains stuck. So we'll try that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to preset myself, set up slightly left. Momentum, because we were creating a lot of momentum on the way through, that will obviously preset the hips and get the hands more outward and the butt end to move to the left. Hit one more. It's awful cold, so any thoughts on that video? So understanding your golf swing pivot better. Any thoughts on that video? Let me discuss. Thumbs up, and any topics you want me else to discuss in the future videos, comment below.